Well, it's 9th versus 11th. First up this afternoon, it's the Eltham Wildcats taking on the Hobart Huskies here in Eltham in Melbourne's northeast. My name is Tyson Wheel and I'm joined as always by Eltham CEO Greg Jeffers, and we are set for two very exciting encounters this afternoon. We certainly thank you for joining us because you will not be missing out on any of the best NBL action here this afternoon, because Eltham is a side in both the men's and women's who are striving for wins, and equally Hobart, who come up from Tassie for the weekend, have put in some good performances of late. Not always with the rewards at the end, but certainly will be looking to do so this afternoon. So as I said, it's 9th versus 11th. Eltham come in with a 6-4 win-loss streak. They're coming off 4 wins on the trot, which is a massive achievement for the Eltham women, and they bring in a couple of new girls into their side this afternoon. On the other hand, Hobart, who've just had a bit of a tough run as of late. They've lost their last 5. Most recently against Frankston last night, where they lost by 19 points. But they'll be looking to turn that around with a pretty quality side, including 2 great imports in Nikki Green and Jennifer Schlott, who come in this afternoon and will be looking to have a big presence. So as I said, I'm joined by Greg Jeffers. Greg, well, it's a pleasure to be alongside you.
Good afternoon, Tyson.
And how much are you looking forward to these 2 matches this afternoon?
I think this women's one in particular, when you have a look at the ladder, this is almost, use footy parlances, this is almost one of those 8-point games in terms of the ladder. Mm-hmm. They'll meet once, this is it, Hobart and Eltham. And you're in a scenario where Eltham at 6-4 are currently 9th. 11th is Hobart at 4-6. So it's one of those games, I think, that if Eltham can get the win today and move to 7-4, you just start to see separation between the top half of the ladder from the lower half of the ladder. And from that perspective, I think it is a pretty crucial game in terms of the context of the season overall.
We're right around the midpoint of the season right now, and Eltham women, if they could walk away at the end of this weekend with 7-4 record, I think they would be pretty satisfied with that for the first part of the season.
Look, and I guess I wear 2 hats, Tyson. I sat here in December when we didn't have a player signed for the NBL1 season, and we just got announced to be in the league, and we just appointed Grant Spencer, and here we are now with a team that's in a position to attack the finals, have the potential to make finals, and you just think, well, that's a really good step in the right direction for where the thing's headed. Coach Grant Spencer's done an outstanding job. Hobart's in a similar boat, though. There's a lot of questions being asked about, I guess, at that time of the leading into that December period as to what presence Hobart would have in the league and where the Chargers sat and all that sort of thing. So, they're in a similar boat. And to be 4-6, I'm sure they'd like to have a couple more wins on the board, as everyone would. But certainly credit to them for being in the position they are at the moment.
They're coached by Willie Joseph. He's the Hobart women. It came in as an awkward sort of entry into a season, but credit to the Hobart Huskies and the association down there, because they've done well to put up 2 quality sides in both the women's and men's. And as you mentioned, these 2 sides are both vying for finals. 9th and 11th they sit. And if we look across the stat sheet, it'll be interesting to see what kind of rotations we have from the Hobart women, because they have 8 players across. They played, of course, against Frankston last night, so it'll be interesting again what sort of factor fatigue we'll have this afternoon. But having across the stat sheet, starting with Hobart, what are we looking at?
Well, you very heavily relying on that starting 5 group. The likes of Jennifer Schlott, the young Shana Thompson, Taylor Roberts, been around WNBL Siebel for a long period of time, Nikki Green, and also Ellie Collins. You have got a 5 there that varying age groups, a couple of imports, but they're certainly the most productive group within their team throughout the season, with the likes of the experienced Alex Finlayson coming off the bench as well, and a couple of other young players in the 7th and 8th spots. I think it's always tough to come over here with 8 players, especially Frankston got them last night. But they've certainly got the talent, Hobart, to come away with the win today. Eltham is looking a lot deeper, though, this week, with the inclusions of Rachel Jeffrey coming out of Albury-Wodonga, moving to Melbourne for work. She slides nicely into the team, and also
play for Albury this season?
No? Played for North East Bushrangers in Big V, and has just got the clearance this week, and then returned from college of Shelby Britton, who's an Eltham junior, originally from Shepparton. We love giving our shout-outs to the hometowns.
Absolutely,
Tyson, of country Victoria, and she is from Shepparton, and used to travel down to play juniors for Eltham. So she comes in for her first home game here today.
Very nice. Well, as you mentioned, it'll be interesting to see how this starting 5 operates, because this team out on the court, this Hobart team, and they've become accustomed to this, is playing long minutes across the weekend, and they will have to do that and continue to back up what was a pretty tough loss in the end to Frankston tonight against Eltham, who sit 2 places above them on the ladder. For Eltham, it is Panousis, Chelsea Brooke, Maggie Mulligan, Chelsea Schweers, and Abby Ellis on court. Referee Shannon Jennings throws the ball up in the air, and we're well underway, and it's a first score for the Hobart Huskies through the hands of Ellie Collins, the captain. Perfect start for Hobart.
Yeah, and Ellie, along with a couple of Hobart girls, were highly targeted by a lot of Victorian clubs. One of the leading three-point shooters in the league last year in Siebel.
Chelsea Schweers tries for her first three.
Three-point shooters. Interesting, Hobart have got the size. We talk each week about Eltham having that Mulligan-Brook combination. Hobart are one who have got the size to go with them, as we see right there.
She has the first 4 points. It was an offensive rebound. She pulled it down and put it back in for 2.
But yeah, with Roberts, with Green, and with Collins, they've got a fair bit of size in that lineup, within their squad, sorry.
So it's Brooke. Mulligan was presenting, was a long pass in the corner to Panousis. Just inside, puts it in for a long 2, just about as long as she can get.
Just that, tried to pull the toe back, didn't she?
Yeah.
Just not quite.
Maybe just raise it in the air, but nonetheless, it'll be a 2. Referee Ken Spratt signalling to the bench. It was a 2. So now, back in the hands of Hobart. Schlott gave it off to Collins. Collins turns to the basket, looking for her 6th points of the game. Couldn't get it to go. Mulligan pushes it down, gives it to Panousis, who keeps it in court through the hands of Brooke and back to Panousis.
Panousis, team leader.
Tries to get it.
Should be good for her to have hit that early shot, Panousis. I know she missed the second, but hasn't been shooting as well as she would like, so good confidence booster to hit that first one.
Comes into the weekend shooting about 12 points per game as Alice, the young defender for Eltham, pulls it down and forces a jump ball. Yeah, just shooting at 28% is Panousis, so it's been a tough start, but we know that she can bring in a big haul of points if she finds her straps in this.
Yeah, look, she's got history as a good shooter of the ball. Just had a little bit of a flat spot, but as I say, good to get the first one under her belt. I know she's doing a fair bit of work on that this week.
Schweers looks back to Brooke. We know she can shoot a 3. Couldn't get it to go. The rebound comes down to Collins, who's had an immediate impact this afternoon so far.
Dangerous, as we see each week, dangerous leaving Brooke open at the perimeter. She has been the leading three-point shooter in terms of percentages, shooting percentages.
Does well defensively as too, as
she does.
Saw.
Absolutely.
Has long arms. This is a good matchup. Looking inside, Mulligan was a little bit of an awkward pass in the end that falls out of court.
Good deflection from Green there, getting a fingertips to that, causing problem for Brooke on the cut.
Nikki Green, 193 centimetres, tallest out on court from what I can see. So, yep, she'll have a big presence. And now it is Schlott underneath, hustling another offensive rebound, puts it in. Shortest player on court, in contrast to the tallest, is putting up plenty of offensive rebounds early on as Chelsea Schweers 2 short on the 3 ball. And probably a little bit forced on that occasion.
Yeah.
We know she loves her transition.
She does love her transition threes. Normally gets her going, a transition 3.
And gets the crowd into it early. And now, from 3, it's Shana Thompson. And all of a sudden, Hobart out by 7 points.
Another one who's got a strong history of three-point shooting. Shooting at 31% this year, but it was a little higher, I believe, from memory from 2018 season in Siebel.
Chelsea Brooke mid-range jumper gets it to go for 2 points. Hobart, interestingly, bring in 4 players averaging 15 points or more in Green's. Nikki Green, Taylor Stevenson, I believe. No, it is, Ali Collins, and then Shana Thompson and Taylor Roberts are the 4 players they bring in shooting 16 points. So an array of scorers.
16.4 and 15.4, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they like to share it around. Will be interesting. They've relied heavily on Brooke and Mulligan to do a fair bit in the paint, as you see right there. I was going to say,
Mulligan dives to the basket, puts it in for 2.
It'll be interesting to see whether the tools for Hobart will be able to run with that all game, being on the back end of the doubleheader.
Back down to the Huskies' end. Green backing her away and a couple of defenders to negotiate. Off the glass, puts it in for 2. The foul. She'll head to the line for 1 more. Despite the defense collapsing, there ended up being a bit of space right underneath the basket, and Green made full use of it.
And she finishes the M1. 6-12. Hobart lead.
So Schweers now, Mulligan, the edge of the keyway, backing away and is fouled. Would like to finish, but now we'll head to the line for 2 free throws.
They're going to back her in one-on-one most of the time, I would have thought, Eltham.
They'll back her in when she's backing in.
Indeed. Some of the best footwork when she's back to the basket. Some of the best post footwork we're going to see in the league.
Of their 75 points last night to Frankston, just 5 of those came off the bench. So a heavy reliance on this 5, as you mentioned at the start of the game. 20 points for Shana Thompson last night against Frankston, led the scoring for Hobart. Brooke keeps it in the Eltham ball possession now. Panousis, Mulligan again. Oh, well done by Green. Schlott turning it around. Quick transition ball, Schweers fighting for it. Now to Collins, one-on-one to the basket, diving in. Brooke does a good defensive job again, forcing her baseline. Schweers just manages to get it away despite protests of travel. Panousis now looking back to Mulligan. Green again with deflection.
Got our hands on a couple, Green, already. Another good battle, though. Chelsea Brooke and Ellie Collins will be a good battle. You've got 2 of similar-aged players, both been leaders in their teams in the past and continuing this year. This is Chelsea Brooke's first year into the
Look at these
Victorian League.
defensive efforts by Brooke.
Big, isn't it?
And Green at both ends. Alice now looks to Schweers. One-on-ones across the court. It's good to see. Mulligan, yeah, that'll be an offensive foul. Made too much room for herself. Forcing, who was that play there? It looks like it was Alexandra Finlayson. And with that, Panousis will head to the bench in exchange for Sean Gillam. In contrast to the Hobart team, who, as we mentioned, rely definitely on that starting 5 I mentioned last night, was a perfect example of that. Look across at the Eltham bench. What do they bring off the bench?
I'd say 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were sitting here saying they were similar to what we said about Hobart. You're looking for them to have more scoring punch. I think speaking to Grant during the week, he's got a lot more. He's got more depth on his bench now. You bring in Jeffrey, bring in Britton. You've already got O'Neill. You've already got Barton. You've got Gillam. He's genuinely got 10, 11 players on that team now that can make an impact, play their role, which is probably at the start of the year, start of the season. He was just struggling with having some depth. But they're certainly a better place now. I would have thought they'd be wanting to play a fairly up-tempo game here on Hobart, get them out and running. I don't like rotating in off the bench too deep, Hobart.
Last week the scores off the bench came from O'Neill and Britton against Southern Sabres in what was two pretty class performance, but Chelsea Schweers had 41. So we saw Steph Reid earlier on this season put up 50, and Chelsea Schweers is tailing just behind her with massive holes like 41 points like she did against the Southern Sabres.
She almost takes offence, or it is a challenge when she sees someone score a lot of points, and she took it upon herself, but yeah, great performance. She's done a few.
Shooting at 59% as well, she did last weekend. Now Alice, quick transition ball coming across there. It was Shana Thompson to play the defense. Resorts back to O'Neill. Now Schweers. The defense is there from Schlott. Stepping back, third three. Gets it to go for a first successful one this afternoon.
Not to take away from Gillam's defensive impact down the other end. It's what she brings when she comes in off the bench. She's certainly a defensive player. But great move from Schweers to get it for her first three.
Floater
nice finish.
Defense, 2 points for Shana Thompson. Just 18 years of age, comes in shooting 16.5 points per game at 40% from the field.
Yeah,
class player.
She's a super talent. Yeah, and going head to head with Abby Ellis, another young talent. There's a lot of these sort of matchups of similarly styled players against each other.
Coming down with the rebound, it was Schlott. Come from Utah State over in the States. Now from three, Collins knocks it in. Ellie Collins stamping her authority on the game.
They got some shooters there. They're a nice balanced team, Hobart. They've got shooters, they've got size. They match up pretty well with this Eltham group.
Chelsea Brooke now looked left. Comes down, O'Neill would be the last hand on it, but no, it'll be Eltham ball instead, as substitutions are made. Emma Waller steps onto the court as well as Taylor Roberts. Taylor Roberts comes into this game putting up 16.4 points per game, so she'll have an impact, no doubt. Gives it to Schweers now from 3, looking for a second. Can't get it to go. The rebound comes down for Roberts, back in the hands of Collins. She's had 7 points so far as Collins. She's also pulled down a couple of rebounds. Now it's given to Waller for her first minutes of the game. What does Schlott decide to do? She liked it, and she bought it from 3.
Hobart looks super impressive offensively at the moment. A couple of times Eltham has just been slow out of the blocks. It was the same thing happened last time too.
Yeah, quite right. They gave Ballarat their first win here last time we were commentating at home.
Helped Ballarat into form since then.
Yes, they have got another win since then as well. Schweers, yeah, it was well done by Collins. Got a hand there. It's pretty hard to get a 3 when there's a big hand in the way. And now, from 3, it was Shana Thompson. Falls down to Schweers. Quickly transition the ball to Alice. Oh, it was well done with the fake. Oh, she'll be fouled. And she led to the line for the free throw. She might be Abby Ellis. She's only a young girl.
She is.
And but you know,
18.
with plays like that, just proves what kind of class she has in her game already. Just forces the defender to jump in the air and then drives through via the baseline.
Yeah, super young player out of Bulleen. Dominated the Vic Metro, leader for Vic Metro right through the junior ranks, and has fitted in beautifully at NBL1 level here with Eltham. As she's preparing to head to college at the end of the year.
Heading over to California, is my understanding. Alice,
as we mentioned,
snatches the ball, gives it to Schweers, and the finish. The crowd are up and about, as is the Eltham bench, because Eltham is starting to play themselves into a bit of form now. Thompson looking to snatch back that, stifles it with a 3. Clutch.
She is. I said at the start, she's got history of it. 31% this year, but can shoot at a higher percentage than that.
Schweers looks to O'Neill, cops one in the face with the Falcon.
Falcon, yeah.
Schlott gives it to Collins. Should be an easy finish. Puts it in for 2 points on the right hand.
They're outrunning Hobart, aren't they?
Yep.
No fears of a doubleheader.
Slowing down it so far. It's the 3rd team foul. It's been disciplined defense so far for both sides. Collins has 9 points. The other end, the scoring lead is Schweers with 5. Shana Thompson also has 8. Now it's Brooke at the free throw line. Can't make the first. And they're 4 from 6 now from the free throw line.
Back to 10 points, 15 to 25.
What will they want going into the quarter time break? That's the question.
Well,
both sides, really. Hobart, of course, wanting to extend that lead.
I think if you're heading towards 30 going into a quarter time.
The foul. Well done. Down there, hustling underneath the basket.
I think any time you're heading towards 30 points in a quarter, you're pretty happy with yourself. Flip to that. You're filthy if you're the team that's given up 30.
Right you are. Shelby Britton enters the court for the Wildcats. Low centre of gravity. Plenty agile. Now Roberts at the free throw line, looking to make the 3-point play. And she does exactly that. 1
minute to go in the first quarter.
She starts her scoring with a 3-point play, so it was a good entry into the game by Taylor Roberts. Of course, averaging around 16 points per game. So it's given to Barton, now to Schweers.
Showing hard out on Schweers.
Back to Barton, 7 seconds on the shot clock. Drives in on the left hand, puts it up on the right. Too short, falls down to Thompson. She kicks it onwards. Waller now with the ball. Britton there to apply some defense. Given back to Schlott. What does she decide to do? An awkward shot, moving through the air. An offensive rebound. They'll have another go at it. Waller manages to keep it in court. Referee Shannon Jennings backing up to allow some room. Nikki Green now. Back to Waller. Underneath, looking for more points. Oh, bounced around. Brooke.
15 seconds remaining.
Rebound. Schweers. Does she know how long's left? Well, she lost touch of it. And now it's back in Hobart hands, who have 8 seconds to work with. Schlott, instead of taking her time, puts it up off the glass for 2 points. 3-point 3 seconds remaining. Now Britain, time running out, time will expire. And heading into the quarter time break, it's been Hobart with all the runs so far, 30-15.
It's one of these scenarios where as a coach, you're just not quite sure where to start. I know there's the frustration of the immediate, having 2 or 3 players swarming the ball handler, as happened with Schweers there. I know you want to deal with that first, but that's probably the least of the issues. You feel like there's about 4 or 5 things you want to raise. So it's going to be about making sure he identifies the major point or 2, covering them off, fixing them to go in the start of the second quarter and just creeping this lead back. But Hobart Huskies,
they shot 4 from 6 from the 3-point line, which is of course makes a huge portion of that, but underneath as well.
But it's not like those players can't shoot though. It's not like it's a surprise.
No.
They've got history shooting the ball from range, and they've got good size. Schlot's moving that ball at a much quicker tempo than what we probably anticipated at the back end of a doubleheader.
Eltham have tried to meet that pace, I think. Like Schweers pushing the ball up the court as well, but that hasn't necessarily resulted in a great deal of success.
Haven't seen the whole team go with it necessarily. You've seen 1 or 2 get out and run, and not running as a group necessarily.
So it is the Hobart Huskies. As we mentioned, they've lost the last 5 games of this NBL1 season, looking to turn it around here at Eltham.
What we just saw in that first quarter, I'm not sure how.
No,
that was an impressive start.
In fairness to the Hobart Huskies, they lost to Bendigo in round 5 by just 7 points, to Ringwood by 11, Dandenong by 5. So they can put in an effort against the sides that they've lost to, and they'll be, of course, as I mentioned, looking to get a win instead and make it their 5th win of the season here against Eltham. We have the stat sheets from that first quarter. What are we looking at?
Well, certainly we've got more players rotated into the game for Eltham in the first quarter than we've ever seen before. But that's referring to the depth. But at the same time, Mulligan being out with 2 in that first quarter certainly will be a worry. This is one team that is potent inside. Hobart, it's not the game you want Mulligan being in foul trouble sitting on the bench.
I'd just like to recognise Schlott, who's got 4 assists in that first quarter, which is quite an effort.
Certainly, good find.
Back into the action, it's 15 points that separates, but plenty of basketball to come in this women's match. Now it's Schlott with the ball. She had 4 assists in that first quarter of basketball.
Ellis.
Well done by Ellis. She's out. Heading to the basket with plenty of pace. It's a nice touch. Puts it in for 2 points and gets the first score of the quarter. Eltham will be happy with that.
Being given the job on Schlott here to slow her down a little bit.
Barton hustling to stay connected to the defence. Nikki Green diving towards the basket. Puts it up off the glass for 2 points.
It's a tough matchup for Barton, taking on Green in there. Green with some WNBA training camp experience, I believe.
Brooke. She had the defence of Green to work with, but manages to make it stick. Nikki Green, of course, played with the Los Angeles Sparks. She also played with Connecticut Sun over in the WNBA, so brings in a wealth of experience into this Hobart Huskies side. 1 of 2 imports, the other being Schlott, who, as I mentioned, came from Utah State. It's 2 points for Anna Barton, and all of a sudden Eltham.
Ellis impact again.
Yep.
Nice finish from Barton, created by Ellis.
6 points so far in the first minute and a half of this second quarter. Barton with her first points.
So those situations, I think Grant probably just rotating his group, trying to find a group that's going to work.
Schlott! Bang! From long range.
Something about lefties shooting threes, eh?
It's good to see. Quality basketball. Schweers looking to make a score from the other end. Been a bit short so far this afternoon. She has made 1, but yeah. Need to make a few more, obviously. Roberts is fouled by Schweers. Schweers not looking particularly pleased about it either.
Far out, I think she said, in frustration. But Shannon Jennings just highlighting, yes, she got the ball, but a fair chunk of her arm to go with it.
Stitch up. And now Roberts.
I'm sure all of Chelsea's American friends back home will know that Chelsea doesn't agree with the referees all too often. I say in jest, of course.
He shot 1 of 5 from 3 in the first quarter, did Schwierz. Missed another one so far, 1 from 6 now. Barton gives it to the woman we're speaking of in Schwierz. Minor slip up, and now it's given to Brooke, who gives it to Britton now, looking to make her first score from 3. Looked all right, had a nice touch short, but it was too short in the end. Given to Green, now to Schlott. Probably took a couple of steps to get her balance for a moment there, but Alice now fighting for the ball. Again. Oh gosh, she's been so strong so far. 3 players to 1, given to Schwierz. And how about that for defence? Finlayson keeps it out, denied. And what should have been an easy score for Eltham results in an easy score for Hobart.
4-point play, isn't it? Give up 2 at the other end, 2 that should be, and 2 at the other end that turn into it. And Ellis goes again.
1 from 10 from 3 is Eltham. What percentage
we are getting to dangerous territory here. We're up to 18 points. We are getting a dangerous space.
Timeout rightly taken by Eltham. Looks like Panousis will be entering the court, hoping to just return some level of normality in what's been an absolute blistering performance so far by the Huskies.
Just getting out and running, aren't they? Running and shooting, backing in their shooters, pound the thing inside when they come out, when they leave it one-on-one, they pound the thing inside.
In some ways, Eltham are playing a similar style of game, but
just not connecting.
Not connecting.
Just not connecting.
How about Alice, though? Gosh, what are those steals? I'll tell you. She's got 4 already.
Super talent, and as good as Schlott's been, I think it's Ellis's couple of her steals have been one-on-one scenarios with Schlott.
So maybe mitigating one person for the Hobart Huskies, gives another person scoring options. Ellie Collins had a big first quarter, probably hasn't had the same impact, but Nikki Green certainly has continued her form into the second quarter. I think that Taylor Roberts has been strong so far as well, coming off the bench.
So again, when you're in Willie's shoes here, you just sit back and enjoy the ride while the team's going on the run they've gone on. You
force the other coach to make some tough decisions.
Correct.
7 minutes to go in the second quarter, so we're only just getting started here, but it is Hobart who look good so far. They've got 39 points in 2 quarters, in a quarter and a bit of basketball. And this is a team that is averaging around 70 or 80 points per game at most. So, mind you, Willie Joseph during the week was interviewed by the NBL1 corporation who, wait a minute, shot from 3, who asked him if he was feeling the pressure, to which he said, I don't feel any pressure, I just think eventually the coin has to drop for the players and they have to decide as a collective unit if they really want to be good. Hello, good defensively is what I was saying.
Out the door.
Panousis hustling inside, looking up for 2. He said really good defensively and start stopping teams so we can start getting wins on the board. Told that to the Hobart Mercury. And they've shown that so far, listening to the words of their coach, and it's 2 points for Nikki Green.
They're easy buckets at the moment. They're going the other way, aren't they?
Brooke now, looking for her first 3. Get it to connect again. 1 from 11 now. Mulligan at the interchange gate, steps into the court as well.
Because Mulligan missed last week's game against the Sabres. The team has had the flu run through the group, in terms of, especially the house that most of them live in. They happen to all share the flu together. And visits to the doctor and the hospital during that period.
Not ideal. Panousis bounces around, falls in. It wanted to come out, but it manages to stick for Panousis.
Might have just broken the seal a little bit there, hopefully, for
hope
the Eltham team.
I want to keep this game exciting for all the viewers out there. Nikki Green in the air, puts it up, now hustling for an offensive rebound. Can't get it to go, though. It was well done by Green, but couldn't get the finish. Quick transition ball, and retreats. Given to Brooke, now Panousis, though. 15 seconds on the shot clock. Double team, will be a foul there. It's the first team foul so far for the Huskies in this second quarter of NBL1 basketball, as the NBL1 side takes a hit.
I'm sure the staff will be swooping onto that one very quickly.
Well, you train them well here at Eltham. So it's Panousis dribbling around across the 3. Now given to Brooke. He comes to set the on ball now. Now it leaves Panousis with some room, steps back looking for another score, and Panousis is coming alive.
That's a little bit of confidence that we came to expect the first couple of rounds. It's been missing for a few weeks.
Panousis 9 points, leads all scorers for Eltham in what they're lacking from Chelsea Schweiz. Panousis, who took her off, is now scoring, and that's what Eltham need to see if they want to bring back what is now a 13-point margin from long range off the glass. The bank is not open so far. Collins couldn't get it to go.
Better pressure on the shooter that time.
Alice inside to Brooke looking for more points. Gave it everything off the glass. Manages to stick in back to 11 points. Eltham with a bit of a run now.
It's a third assist for Ellis. Go along with the steals you mentioned earlier. She's making her impact.
And now once again looking to stifles along two, couldn't get it to go. Now it's Mulligan with the rebound, given to Panousis. The NBL1 sign is back up and running. No foul called. Coach Grant Spencer not particularly pleased. That was a good pass. And the foul! The finish by Taylor Roberts.
It's from Collins, that pass, wasn't it, that one?
Yep,
her impact again. She was huge in the start of the game there and had a breather, come back on. Impact again.
Green heads to the bench. Sian Gillam now entering the court for Eltham. Takes off Chelsea Brooke.
I was just thinking Chelsea Brooke was just starting to look a little bit fatigued.
Does that leave them undersized? Well, Mulligan's still. I mean, Green's gone to the bench now, so
yeah,
probably not. So Roberts, very nice free throw. And they haven't missed one so far. Have Hobart 5 from 5 from the free throw line. Same can't be said for Eltham, 4 from 6. Panousis with the ball. Mulligan backing her way in. Panousis!
There she is.
Gets a 3-point play. The foul called on number 9, Taylor Roberts.
Ness might be back.
In a big way. Yep. Has 11 points so far.
With the exception of the 19-point game against Frankston, she's been in single digits until, since round 2. And here she is tonight, this afternoon, to 11 already.
Played at WNBL level for Adelaide Lightning, Sydney Uni Flames. She's played at World Championships, uni games, all sorts of different things, and she finds a home now at Eltham. And it's been a patchy season so far, but yes, certainly looking strong so far this afternoon.
A terrific team person. While she hasn't necessarily hit the board as much as she likes from a scoring perspective, she's been creating for others a lot.
Schlott in the corner. It was Emma Waller, couldn't get it to go. Panousis looks down to Britton. Can they connect? 3 passes is all they need. Foul called. Mulligan will head to the line for 2.
This is the opportunity for Eltham. You got Green out. I did wonder whether they'd start to pound that thing inside the Mulligan with the matchups they got here, but as I say that...
Was that foul on Collins? If so, that's a third personal foul. I'm not sure if it was though. Yeah, Collins has 3 fouls, and we've still got plenty of basketball to go, and Collins will be slightly concerned about that, no doubt, as will the coach.
As Green comes back in.
Mulligan has 2 fouls, so if she can maintain that for the rest of this half, that should leave her okay, hopefully, for the second half. Collins on the other end with 3. That's sort of a dangerous territory now. Kicks along, back to Schlott now. Thompson from 3. Keeps the form going from the perimeter. In these big moments, the Huskies have found strong shooting.
Just when you think Eltham's on a little run, Hobart, to their credit, just make buckets.
Schweiz fouled. She'll head to the line for 2. It's the 4th team foul for Huskies, so every defensive foul from now will be bonus.
One by one, the Eltham team just starting to come together after a shaky start. Ellis is probably the one to get it going. Panousis comes good. Mulligan's starting to get some touches. Gillam's on there for the defensive purpose. And I think if you start to get Schweiz making some buckets, well, they have a chance of starting to rein this lead in. Although free throws haven't been great today, if I'm honest.
4 from 7. That's better.
Into a 2-3 zone.
Thompson Goes over the head of Green to Schlott now. Mid-range jumper was flat. Comes down to Mulligan, who gives it to Panousis.
That's where you want to force those low percentage pull-up jumpers over a hand.
Mulligan and Green once again the match-up, and how good was that? Put her into the spin cycle and finishes with 2 points.
Said it earlier, some of the best footwork in the league. Lou Tomlinson at Melbourne might argue with that, but...
Got 188 centimetres in height, does Mulligan. Looking for the finish there, it was Thompson.
That's Gillum using her body. Green had full position there to get it, but good use of the body by Gillum.
Now, Schweers. Just trying to shoot herself into form, you feel, so far this afternoon. And not having much luck so far. Schlott throws her head back. Noosis is there for defence. Did she take the 3? Elects not to. Sean Gillum to match up there against Emma Waller. Now Schlott for the shot. Mulligan gets the hand in there. Given to Alice. Can they finish? She certainly does. It's 2 points for Eltham. It's back to single. 9 points the difference. 2 minutes remaining. What was a 15-point lead got out to 18 points. Back to 9 now. So it's Waller again. What can Hobart do? They've found big scores when they've needed them. Green underneath is fouled.
That's the 3rd to Mulligan.
Yeah, she would have wanted to avoid that.
I was going to say that zone, though. Zone just caused them a bit of problems. Caused Hobart some issues. It's a blessing when you're in the scenario of Mulligan being on 3,000. You can sub in Chelsea Brook. Despite her age, has racked up quite a good resume. And won the MVP over in South Australia at 20 years of age. 3 years at the Adelaide Lightning, re-signed again for 2019-20 season. For a 4th year. And Green makes the 2nd to get it to 10 points, 48-38.
They can chip away in this final 2 minutes of play. Eltham will have a bit of momentum heading into half-time after what was as much as an 18-point differential. Now Panousis looking to do exactly that. Panousis can't get it to go. The rebound came down to Taylor Roberts.
Good to see her looking with that confidence to have to shoot that shot, though. In recent weeks, just shied away a little bit.
She's definitely right, justified in taking that shot. Waller. Because her teammates certainly aren't holding back on that. Steps out of court. A chance for Eltham for another score.
Running that swinger on that baseline with the shooter being Thompson. Hard to manage for Eltham when you've got the presence of Green and Roberts inside.
I'm really enjoying this matchup.
It's good, isn't it?
Yep.
There are a lot of, I said earlier, there's a lot of individually good matchups across the court, but the overall game's fantastic.
Knocked out of court. Eltham ball. This NBL1 season has been an absolute success so far. All the sides, no matter how high or low they are on the ladder, have had competitive games. Quality refereeing, quality facilities, offensive foul called. Here on Schweers. Schweers heads to the bench with her 2nd personal foul.
There's a level of frustration in there in that push, I think. Not just with Schlott, but with her own shooting at the moment. Hopefully now reset for this, going to half-time, be ready to go come the second half.
Schlott regathers the ball. It's given to Waller now. She hasn't hit the scoreboard so far. Brooke plucks it from midair. Given to Alice. It's a 2v2. The rest of the team files in, and now Brooke looking to make her first 3. Chelsea Brooke can't get it to go. She came into this weekend, did Chelsea Brooke, shooting
46% from the 3-point line this year, I believe. There may have been a little bit of trash talk between players that Schweers is known as a 3-point shooter, but Brooke's got it covered at the moment by a couple of percent. And Schweers is quick to mention the number she'd taken. But all part of the fun. 6 seconds remaining. No score from Thompson. Panousis.
Shelby Britton will have the final shot from 3. And that draws to a close what's been a very exciting first half of basketball between the Eltham Wildcats And the Hobart Huskies, it's 10 points the difference. But of course, Eltham with a bit of momentum heading into this third quarter have a chance to run over the top of what will no doubt be a team on the second leg of the doubleheader who might just feel a bit of fatigue. So you just feel like this is really poised for what should be a really exciting second half of basketball.
Hobart, straight out of the gates, weren't they? They were fantastic. Eltham's credit slowed Hobart to just 18 points in that second quarter, but Hobart have looked good. They got plenty of rest into their stars. Willie Joseph's been very smart with his rotations and getting people the rest they need, you feel. But Eltham, I think I referred in that second quarter, you just feel like the engine's just starting to click over a little, just starting to turn. Different players just starting to connect. Yep. Abby Ellis has kind of been the one flying the flag from the start, but you just feel like others are just starting to buy in.
4 steals, 3 assists for Ellis.
Schweers rarely goes a whole game of shooting poorly. Chelsea Brooks the same. So you've got your best 2 3-point shooters struggling to connect at the moment at half-time, which Hobart, in saying that, Hobart have forced tough shots out of those two as well. But generally, they don't go that cold for a whole game. So
to focus on what has been an absolute class performance by a side, which I've mentioned so many times that we'll continue to mention, a side that has lost the last 5 games in Hobart. Jennifer Schlotter's put up 12 points. Thompson has had 11. Collins has had 9. And we did mention, of course, during that quarter, they've had a share of scorers. 4 players come into today, averaging over 15 points per game. And if you look at the stats on your screen, they're shooting at 49% so far this game. 2 points. Eltham leading the way with 68%, but the 3 points being a massive difference. Of course, Hobart shooting 50% this from 12, Eltham shooting at just 13%. So, the free throw's another factor as well we'll throw in there. But Hobart, with their shooting so far, have really flexed their muscles at times, and Eltham being left to just chase from behind.
yeah, I think that 3-point percentage, we're used to seeing Eltham closer to that in that 40 mark. So, as I just referred, you couldn't expect them to go through another half shooting it the same way, but free throws are gimmies. And Hobart, to their credit, have knocked their high percentage down. As the guys for the men's game for Hobart start to arrive. And likewise, the crowd is starting to come in as well. So we'll leave you for a couple of moments.
Absolutely right. It's 10 points the difference here at half-time. Eltham Wildcats take on the Hobart Huskies. Plenty of basketball action to come. Do stick around. Well, the story is this afternoon. It is Hobart who are off the blocks with some serious pace. And during that second quarter, led by as much as 18 points. Eltham bringing it back through the hands of captain Vanessa Panousis, back to 10 points. And it is not evenly poised. Hobart definitely still out so far, but Eltham with plenty of momentum heading into the halftime break. And we'll be looking to continue that into this third quarter and what's been an absolute blistering shooting performance by Hobart, and quite the contrast down at the Eltham end. And they come into this second half, both sides absolutely desperate for a win, sitting on the cusp of the top 8. And what can they do, and what can they bring for this afternoon's basketball between the Eltham Wildcats and the Hobart Huskies? I'm Tyson Whelan, sitting alongside Greg Jeffers again. What do you make of that first half, and what are we looking for in this second?
No, I think you summed it up beautifully, but you little matchups, little one-on-one matchups within the game are terrific. And Abby Ellis and Jennifer Schlott going head-to-head. You've got the experienced import, Schlott coming into the league. You've got Abby Ellis, a young kid about to head to college. Both have had their wins within that half. Shooters like Thompson for Hobart. Collins got 9 early, was quiet in the second quarter, but this is poised for a ripping second half, you would think.
So we're underway here for this third quarter of basketball. Chelsea Brooke with the ball, looking inside to Mulligan. She has 3 fouls, which is a dangerous total, and Ali Collins equally for Hobart, who's out on court number 34, also has 3. 2 players looking to stay disciplined. Nikki Green has had a defensive effort. Now gets a foul, though, and she won't be particularly pleased with that because it'll be Mulligan heading to the line for 2 free throws.
Yeah, I think Mulligan always got herself out of trouble then.
Yeah.
Not the prettiest piece of play, but made the best of a bad situation. Here she is at the line.
Hobart's shooting, as I mentioned, has been, I think they're shooting around 50% so far, and they've hit shots when they need to, but equally, their defensive effort. Nikki Green has been terrific underneath, and essentially what that's meant is that Eltham have been forced to put up shots that they won't be particularly pleased with looking back, as Mulligan misses the free throw. And so it's been a great performance at both ends of Hobart so far.
Takes the free throws to 6 of 13 for Eltham now.
And they're not indifferent to doing that from the free throw line as a foul is called. Foul on number 22, Abby Ellis. The 2 get out of jail free cards for both sides early on in this quarter. And now Collins gives it to Schlott. Back underway. They have 11 seconds to work with.
Stayed in that zone, which caused a few problems for Hobart as Collins gets herself back on the scoreboard. Was scoreless in that second quarter after a blistering opening quarter. She's out to 11.
They're on track for triple figures almost, this Hobart side, which will absolutely exceed what's been a 70 or 80 point average game so far for Hobart. So they've, as we mentioned, been a really strong scoring side. Mulligan trying to force her way in. You want to be careful not to get an offensive foul. Given back to Schweers now. Steps back. Now across to Ellis. 3 seconds on the shot clock. Deep from the car park. Couldn't get it to go. Brooke pulls down the rebound. Another 14 seconds to work with. Minute and a half into this third quarter of basketball. Hobart the only team to score so far through the hands of Ali Collins. Panousis left with the laneway. Gives it to Mulligan, but it was well done by Green. He got those long arms in the way.
She's done that. That's the third tip in the third deflection, I apologise, that I can think of. She's caused problems. Green, that length of those arms has been outstanding, and Panousis should back into score most of the time in that scenario. As
transition 3 for Abby Ellis. What Schweers hasn't been able to do, Ellis does on their first attempt.
It's an outstanding performance from her so far, Ellis.
Collins.
Collins.
Puts it off the glass for 2. She has 9 points. Does Abby Ellis?
Why not? Abby Ellis.
She's making a groove for herself from that spot on the perimeter.
Just need some stops now. Hobart, as I said in that second quarter, every time Eltham feel like they're going to make a run, they just do something Hobart to make a big play.
Mulligan falls to the ground. I think it was in the no charge circle. And there will be a foul called. Green will head to the line for 2. Foul called on number 8, is it? Chelsea Brooke.
Yeah, Chelsea Brooke.
So at the line, it is Green,
if any WNBL team's looking for a post player, you would think this might be a game you'd have a look at, wouldn't you?
Yeah, she
Nikki
would
Green and Maggie Mulligan.
I think both players could absolutely forge a pathway into the WNBL, no doubt. Chelsea Schwierz now just inside the perimeter. Maybe that's where she needs to be shooting from. And all of a sudden, it's back to just 7 points. Schlott elects not to take the three. Gives it off to Waller. Now inside to Collins. Can she get another score? Hello. Couldn't get it to fall, though. Take down to Alice.
Brooke running.
Off the glass. 3-point play. Nikki Green with her third foul. Chelsea Brooke led to the line for one more.
Gets 3 or 4 of them every game, Chelsea Brooke. Runs rim to rim extremely well, and it's the game to do it. You want to be testing Green out, going both ways here and stretch her out because she's certainly probably got the speed that Roberts doesn't have. But it is the back end of a doubleheader, so you'd like to see Eltham get out and run that rim to rim as often as possible.
As Brooke makes the free throw, it'd be fair to say that what's happened in this third quarter is definitely what they were lacking in that Abby Alice has come out, shot 2 threes, and then the quick transition balls have actually worked. And that's absolutely what they were missing and what they'd expect.
This zone's caused a lot of problems, though, as it did during the second quarter. I mean, Hobart scored there, sure, but it's not generated from play. It's from deflections that it happens. The 2-3 zone has caused a lot of dramas.
How's that from Waller just diving in, swooping for the ball, forces a jump ball. It'll be Hobart with the ball.
Pressure on young Thompson. I want Thompson to get going again. Strong 3-point shooter. Over the hand of Brooke.
And Thompson threw up a three, hoping to develop a bit of momentum, but it probably wasn't the best shot option in the end because you had Brooke in the way. Schwierz is fouled. Make sure the referee sees it. And she'll head to line for 2. Substitution made for Huskies. And this Taylor Roberts coming onto the court. She's at 8 points so far. Had an impact. She brings on some height, some physicality.
This might be the time they run a little bit more high-low action. Been very good at it in past weeks, Eltham, with the Brooke-Mulligan combination, which Greens has caused a little bit of problems with feeds inside today. But with her out of the game, this is probably the opportunity where they can go inside a little bit more. They have got Ellie Collins outsized in the 4 spot.
Schlott and Collins, they're just scoring at 14 and 13. Collins looking to overtake her, and she does exactly that now with 15 points.
Reminiscent of the form of the first quarter from Collins. It's a terrific player.
Schwierz cuts back from 3. It was flat, but it was sexy. She puts it in. From the moment it left her hand, it never looked like missing, and all of a sudden it's back to a 3-point game.
She's just got a little bit of that bounce back in her step, doesn't she?
Oh, yeah.
Ellis. Ellis again.
How's this for some basketball? Eltham Wildcats bring it back to a 1-point game. Coach Willie has just said, I have seen quite enough, as the Eltham crowd is really getting into it. Alice and Schwierz combining. And as I mentioned, back to a 1-point game with plenty of time left in this third quarter.
Well, Hobart jumped out of the blocks, didn't they, to start today?
Not to say we predicted this would happen, but we did predict this would happen because we've seen that in third quarters Eltham have been able to, and we know that they might get an element of fatigue into their game, and it only was a matter of time before they were starting to hit some of their outside shots and get those transitions to connect, and that's exactly what's happened. And all of a sudden it's back to a 1-point game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Hobart can do. I don't think you can leave Green out, and I think looking at who he's got sitting down in that, maybe Green's coming back into the game. I think you've got to have her on the floor. She nullifies that Mulligan-Brooke presence a little bit. Ellie Collins keeps the scoreboard ticking over for Hobart. Her third quarter has been reminiscent of the first, where she's scored a bulk of the points for Hobart. But Schlott's just had a little bit more trouble against this zone in the back end of that second quarter and also here in the third. So
the Huskies bring on Thompson, Schlott, Roberts, Finlayson and Collins For the Wildcats, it's Panusa, Schweers, Mulligan, Ellison, Brook. Hobart will have the possession, and they need a score because it's back to a 1-point game.
Eltham stay in that 2-3 zone,
which, as you mentioned, has caused some problems. Schlott gives it to Thompson, and back to Schlott now. Collins is presenting. Looking inwards now. Nice, how's that for some ball movement? But Brooke again with her hand there, just forcing a pretty ugly shot. Looking across now, Panusas. She had the confidence to take the shot.
Forever the disciplined player, Panusas.
Eltham haven't led so far this game. Mulligan pulls down an offensive rebound. Thought Brooke was going to try for a 3, elects not to. Back to Panusas now. Oh, it was well done there, but fighting for it again. Panusas now has to retreat towards defense. And just Thompson turns back. Inwards to Roberts. How's that for a move? Hustling. Can't get it to fall though. She had a couple of defenders to negotiate, not least of which Mulligan. Alice looking for her third 3. Brooke, another offensive rebound. These could be useful for Eltham. They have 8-5 mismatch there. Mulligan, how's that for footwork?
I apologise. I had anticipated the bucket being made, but
that would have made the highlight reel. Not least of which probably the commentary that would have been attached to it. But anyway,
she does. That's what she does. She reads the body position of the defender tremendously well. You know, we talk about the footwork, but it's her ability to read the play to make those moves is extraordinary. As Schweers for 3 in the corner.
Yikes.
That's uncharacteristic. As she says hello to Dwayne Hogan and the family in the on the front row.
We love our members.
We do.
And for the first time for the season of NBL1, it's Rachel Jeffrey who enters the court for Eltham.
To be fair, she is making a significant jump this year. She is a former Siebel player, but she's coming out of Big V Division 2 into NBL1. So it might take a little bit of time to get used to the speed. Nice play from Panusas. The Northeast Bushies in Division 2 women, where Rachel has been leading and averaging about 20 points a game up there for them. But
former Big V All-Star Defensive Player of the Year.
She had some experience in that 3 spot, and I think that's been a little bit of concern for us. Has been we've had Sian, who's probably the one genuine 3 in the group, and even then probably a little bit undersized at times in the 3 spot. And Rachel just adds a little bit of experience. Been around for a few years.
Around 8 rebounds per game too is Jeff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Interesting to see how that plays out.
A little bit of meat and potatoes.
So it's Waller looking across the slot. Coming to present it was Finlayson, now given to Green. Panusas was there for defence, forced to take the shot. As the time ran on the shot clock. And now it's back in Eltham hands. It's an even game, not since before the first minute of the game, as Eltham been in the lead, and now Panusas through her hands.
Another long 2.
Drags them over the top of the Hobart score. And what was prolific scoring from Hobart in that first half of basketball, where it looked like they were on track.
They're pushing.
For a massive score.
This is what we expected at the start. This is the Eltham team. Get out and run. Put Hobart under a little bit of pressure. That slower style was suiting Hobart to a T. Another good deflection from Hobart. They've got a lot of talent, though, this Hobart team. The problem is having to rotate players, the stars through, keeping them fresh. It's probably lacking the depth in the last quarter and a half, I'd suggest. Lacking the depth to go with the Eltham team at the moment.
Hobart's last score was 3 minutes ago. So they need to do something to mitigate what hasn't been the strongest of performance so far in this third quarter. But we've seen in that first half of basketball what they can do. Now it's just refining that form. Schlott gives it to Waller. Just haven't been able to connect on the shooting that they had as well. They're actually even Stevens in terms of field goal percentage with Eltham.
It'd be good. With Collins looking to sub in here, it'd be good to get the Collins and Green show going together again, because that's really what caused a lot of problems early. Collins gets that scoreboard ticking. You got to send Chelsea Brook to her, and then leaving Green with a one-on-one with Mulligan.
Both teams with 11 turnovers.
Schweers
off the glass, puts it in for 2 points, and Eltham now lead by 4. As I mentioned, it was 18 points of difference in the second quarter.
She's getting that bounce. Forget the missed shot, the air ball before. Her family back home won't enjoy me saying, reminding them of that. But aside from that, she's got a touch back in here in this third quarter, which is sort of what we predicted would occur. She can't keep shooting like that. Schlott, bang.
With a necessary three.
She's just gone a little bit quiet since that first quarter, Schlott, but that's what they need from her.
17 points. And right, we should rightly mention about Schweiz as she dives to the basket and puts it in for 2 points. Is even in the games where you think she's not playing that well, she leads all scorers with 17 points.
And the Hobart local girls will know Schweiz, having played for the Lady Chargers in SEABL. Oh.
Jeffrey falls to the ground and left plenty of room for Roberts to finish.
1 point to difference.
Hello! Schweiz. So it was initially a signal to 2, then signal to 3. So it was a 3 for Schweiz. On clarification of the crew chief, Shannon Jennings. So it's Roberts from the elbow, couldn't get it to fall.
Need to be a threat in that range, don't you? If you're playing off the high post, you've got to be able to shoot from that space.
She's missed a few in the last couple of possessions.
Yeah.
So.
Good boards from Green, good box out from Roberts, and they're off again.
From out rebounding Hobart, 33-24 so far. Schlott looks to Finlayson, she needs to hit it. Finlayson from the long 2 range. Been a couple of shots right on the perimeter, but just with the toe inside. Both sides.
No coaches like a long 2. Tyson?
Should be eliminated from the game. Panousis gives it to Brooke. Brooke now with the mid-range jumper, doing what Hobart haven't been able to do. Puts it in for 2. Roberts not expecting the pass from Schlott. No. So there's 30 seconds remaining in this third quarter of basketball. Finlayson, she had that 3. And now
Mulligan.
It was a long 2 rather for Finlayson, but it's knocked out of hands. Another deflection. Plenty of just those hands for both sides with those long arms getting in the way. 1
shot clock remaining. 14 seconds to go here.
Panousis right on the halfway line. Schlott is there. Down to 8 now. 1-on-1 at the moment. Looks to Brooke. Geez, they're well matched up here. Every single player on court.
Oh, that's...
And I like that, not that it matters a great deal now, is that Green was there just on Jeffrey, who was sort of stuck in the corner, so if she needed to come across for defence, she was there. Substitution taken. It's a 4th foul on Emma Waller, bench player for Hobart. Comes into the game just with less than a point average, so she's more of a defensive player from what I've seen so far. But yes, now with 4 fouls, we'll be having to rest, no doubt. So it is Brooke who makes the first free throw. 69-64, looking to make it a 6-point game. So she does exactly that. And we'll have 2 seconds to work with. Schlott, really well done. Throws it up from deep. She can't get it to go, and that draws to a close 3 quarters of basketball so far in this doubleheader this afternoon, and it's Eltham who have just overtaken in that third quarter.
That is a 32. Excuse me as I do my maths. That's terrible of me. 32-16 quarter to Eltham. And when you do it across the last 2 quarters, you're looking at 55-34 since quarter time.
Hobart had 48 points at halftime. 64.
It is, but we did say, to Hobart's credit, in the opening quarter and into that second quarter, they had plenty of people shooting the ball at a high percentage, but you couldn't expect Schweiz to continue shooting the ball as she had. No. You couldn't expect Brooke to keep shooting the ball as she had. They both shoot 44, 46% at the 3-point line. That's not going to happen for an entire, shooting one between them in a half isn't going to continue for a whole match. So it was bound to occur. And that 2-3 zone caused Hobart a lot of problems as well. Just having someone around that free throw line that can make that jumper would be handy. But going to need a big last quarter out of their 2 imports, Schlott and also Nikki Green. Schlott went quiet, I think, since quarter time. It was only really that 3 late in the third quarter that, aside from that, she was pretty quiet.
6 assists, which has probably been the most important stat for her so far.
But again, 5 of those were in the 5 of those were in the first half.
Right,
If I'm not mistaken, 4 of them were in the opening quarter. So
yeah, well, that says it
she's
all then,
a
really.
super talent, but she has gone quiet since quarter time. They're going to need a big impact out of her because you have got the likes. Young Shana Thompson's a super shooter of the ball, but there's only so many times you keep running that baseline and have Chelsea Brook with her arms come running at you and having to force a shot over those hands. It's not a high percentage look. Rachel Jeffrey and Shelby Britton into the game to start. So, well, sorry, they came in late in that third quarter, but remaining in the game for the start of the last.
Early foul called. Foul is on Shana Thompson. That is...
Shana not entirely thrilled with that, I don't think.
Only her first foul too. Referee Shannon Jennings making the call.
And it looks like Chelsea and Schlott are getting saying hello to each other, and referee Jess Baker just tidying it up.
She went to call a foul, but actually didn't have the whistle.
The whistle just lost, yeah. And something was bound to occur because the two of them just received a warning, and it's almost just like Schlott's just baiting Schweers a little bit. And Jess Baker just needs to remember to put the whistle in her mouth in the future.
It's of vital importance.
And she's got one job. That's to put the whistle in her mouth. And I say this in fun. Jess Baker is a good friend and enjoys the banter. So she is a very, very good referee.
I loved that the fist went up in the air for the... I can't help that. That was so funny. All right, we're back underway after that offensive foul of Chelsea Schweers. Back in Eltham hands, still 6-point game. 2 defenders to work with. O'Neill hasn't done much so far and hasn't had the minutes really, but she throws up a 3, can't get it to go. Comes down to Thompson. Green and Brook are fighting for the rebound. Hobart, the beneficiaries. And so it's Collins. Collins looking to go off the glass. A foul called. And it was great to see she had the whistle in her mouth this time when she made the call. Happens to the best of us.
Ellie Collins. We spoke earlier about her. They need to keep her. She's vital to keeping this scoreboard ticking over for Hobart.
5 points the difference. Eltham have had the momentum, outscoring majorly in this second half of basketball. Britton with the spot, gives it to O'Neill, and O'Neill gets her first score of the afternoon.
Good, it's good to see her back in red and black here at Eltham.
Certainly is.
There's a few Eltham girls who head over to Newbury College in Division 2 in North Carolina.
Collins with another necessary 3, finding big shots when they need them.
Super player.
And she has 19 points. And the only Chelsea Schweers for the leading scorers, who has 20. But yes, 19 very important points for Ali Collins, the captain of this Hobart Huskies side. She, of course, spent some time up at Launceston, getting an education degree at UTAS. Returns to Hobart now this season for the NBL1 season as Chelsea Schweers puts in 2 points.
Receiving a lot of attention, Schweers.
She makes her presence known. She's had 2 offensive fouls so far this afternoon, somewhat regrettably. But if that spurred her to score, as it has...
Good defensive play. She got a finger to that. Yeah. Thompson loses her balance.
Britton gives it back to Schweers. Now to Britton again, just with the toe inside again. Just dives inside.
Good second effort, though. Yeah. And a terrific find.
Oh, O'Neill couldn't get the finish in what would have been another assist for Britton. Looking to make her 3rd assist, but couldn't get the finish for O'Neill. Nikki Green had 2 defenders to work with. It was well done by Brook and O'Neill. O'Neill kept the body there, and then Brook came in with the hands.
It's one benefit Coach Spencer has over most teams. Even you bringing players in off the bench like O'Neill, and she's got the height and length that she has. There's not many teams that have that in.
It was well done by Schlott. Forces a 1-on-1. Britton's there. There'll be a foul, no doubt. And Schlott will head to the line for 2.
Needed Schlott to come up big this quarter. We spoke about that. She made a couple of... causing some problems for Schweers, and now
Mulligan and Alice, 2 of the strongest players this afternoon, ran to the court. And for Hobart, it's Emma Waller, who has four fouls. Mind you, Eltham also with 3 team fouls so far, so by no measurement is this game over, because Hobart, now with Schlott making that free throw, have it at just 5 points, and it managed to keep that lead, keep that margin pretty much similar to what it was at three-quarter time, and we're 3 minutes into this fourth quarter. And now back to 4.
74 to 70.
He's not happy, and it's back to just 1 point game through that massive and necessary 3 from Thompson. Now Eltham, can they get a score? Who do they rely on for their scoring? Mulligan diving to the basket, looking to thread the gap through 2 players was Britton, but there was no room there, so it's given across. Thompson again from 3. Oh, that would have been a huge Waller there to apply the defense. Be careful not to get a 5th foul. Britton with the ball. Brooke just slowly meandering down the court, and now receives the ball. Gives it to Schweers, comes across for the on-ball. 2 defenders there to work with. Brooke now going baseline. It was well done by Green. Regathers the ball, gives it to Mulligan. Can she finish? No, she can't. Puts it up again. Nikki Green pulls down a rebound. That being her 10th
Hands
rebound.
by Brooke.
Hello, Chelsea Brooke.
You know,
in for 2.
Insane. Like, Hobart has done a great job this first 4 minutes. We said they needed Schlott to step up. Green to continued impact, although Green's looking tired. She is looking really fatigued here, but we needed Thompson to hit a bucket. She did, over a tough, long hand of Mulligan. As they
Collins!
Collins. And as I go through that, Collins needed to keep the scoreboard ticking over. She's doing that.
I'm loving
76 apiece. This has been a terrific game, hasn't it? Like a roller coaster.
Hobart has found another gear in this final quarter, and it was so necessary because it was 6 points the difference with all the momentum for Eltham. And now Collins hit with that 3. And of course, Schlott is coming back alive again after a little bit of a hiatus in that 3rd quarter. Panusas finally comes onto the court in exchange for Britton.
Just about your best 5s possible on the floor right now. With 5 to go, scores apiece. All your big names on the floor. With Hobart still having Roberts up their sleeve.
Whether or not you're an Eltham fan, a Hobart fan, or just a basketball fan, this is the game you want to be watching because it's 76 apiece. Eltham taking on Hobart. Stepping back, Ellis just inside. Can't get it to go with 3 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Comes down for the rebound for Shana Thompson. Looks across to Schlott. Panusas and Schlott, another exciting matchup. We've talked about these individual matchups all day, and what that leaves open. From 3, it was Emma Waller. And she gets her first score with a 3 in the final quarter to regain the lead for Hobart. Schweers now, forcing away inside. Looks back to Mulligan. Mulligan, a long shot, fighting inside. It was Abby Alice. Schweers was there as well, but in the end, Huskies through the hands of Waller.
Well, Waller, that's her first 3 for the season, so she wouldn't have featured on the... oh, why not? Hit the last, have another crack.
Mulligan.
Good work from Collins.
Well with some physical presence. Collins underneath off the glass for 2 points.
And we're back
Down
to 5
a 5-point game in favour of Hobart.
Swings and roundabouts this game.
Yep. Eltham looking like they were in that first half of basketball, a little bit out of sorts so far. But to Hobart's credit, they've found absolutely another gear. Collins hitting her shots. Schlott absolutely forcing the ball upside. Green looking tired, but still doing the work she needs, and that's on display right there.
Less than ideal look for Eltham.
What can Eltham do to regain the momentum they had in that 3rd quarter? Collins presenting, looks to Green, big pass across to Schlott. 2 imports connecting, now given to Collins.
They do look a lot better with Collins on the floor attacking that top of the zone.
Timeout taken for Eltham because it is a 7-point game in favour of Hobart. Well, it was a 6-point game in favour of Eltham at 3-quarter time, and all of a sudden Hobart have turned that around in a big way. And Eltham have scored just 6 points. Hobart have scored 19 in this final quarter of basketball. And that has been Thompson, She's had 14. Collins, 26 points, leading all scorers in a big way with 26 points. Shooting at 61% from the field is Collins. And, you know, Schweiz looked okay early on, but hasn't hit a shot since then. And Panousis, well, she's looked strong this afternoon, still only has 14. Brooke with 16. So what can Eltham do now to turn it around?
Well, it'll be interesting to see whether he stays with the zone, makes tweaks on the 2-3 zone. As I say, with Collins on the floor, she is a threat around that free throw line, whereas it wasn't necessary. They didn't have that to worry about earlier on. So whether he just tweaks the 2-3 zone, but offensively they have looked, I think you said it before, out of sorts is what they look offensively. And before they're looking to get organised, they end up just forcing a contested three-point shot, which wouldn't be what Grant would be looking for.
I'm of the belief that Eltham would need to get a score right now in this possession of play, because Hobart have looked very nice so far. Schlott forcing away around Mulligan, who set the screen there. Oh, loses touch of it, and now it's back in Hobart's hands. Can they capitalise with 3.5 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter? Collins at 26 points. Looks across from three. It was Thompson.
They've got to look to run. Get out and go.
Alice looks back to Brooke. Slow it down. Panousis now from three. Throws up a shot. Looked long. Was long. Thompson with the rebound.
They played with tempo. I'll go as far as say maybe I'll stretch it out to 2 quarters. Over 2 quarters, they got out and ran. There was tempo. They put Hobart under pressure and then jammed them up defensively.
Collins throwing up a long three.
They've just slowed down in this on transition a little bit. There you go. She's running. Oh, there you go.
Given to Mulligan. Should be finished.
What you want.
That's better basketball from Eltham, and it came from Collins throwing up a three, and it's Nikki Green who's pleading with her coach for a sub. So
I do wonder whether she's carrying something or a little bit crook, because
yeah, I noticed
she did look hunched over earlier.
Of course, Eltham just with the single game this weekend. Huskies played against Frankston last night, a 19-point loss. Panousis takes the charge. Collins was the one who fouled. And that's her 5th foul for Collins.
Is Green still going to get a rest?
Hobart being forced to make some decisions they don't want to. Collins probably a little bit loose. Charges.
2 minutes to go. Collins fouled out.
She had 26
Green wanting
points.
a sub. And there seems to be a heated conversation on the bench, but wow, this presents a big opportunity now. You'd have to be getting the ball inside to Mulligan. Yeah.
Nikki Green's in double-double territory with 9 rebounds and 9 points. Mulligan puts it in for 2. So
Green can't sit there too long.
She's on the bench, and all of a sudden she's heading straight back to the interchange.
It doesn't look thrilled.
No.
No one needed to say anything. She just stood up and said, it's my time to go back again, I guess. And
that was amazing. And Ali Collins, who has had 26 points now, sitting on the bench with 5 fouls. Emma Waller, how many fouls does she have now? She had 4 before. I don't know if she fouled then, but
Collins has been outstanding all afternoon. Went a bit quiet, in that second quarter. So, you know, her scoring's been done across 2.5 quarters, basically.
She knows her well. She's the captain of this side.
We're back to 2 points, though.
And 2 minutes to go.
Green back in.
This is great basketball. 2 minutes of basketball left. Thompson goes back to the right hand. Couple of defenders to work with. 5 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Schlott will have to throw up a shot. Schlott. Oh, an offensive rebound. Mulligan comes in with the hand. How about that for defense? Now back to Alice. Given to Schweiz. Schweiz from 3. Chelsea Schweiz! We are standing on our feet. It's now Eltham through the hands of Chelsea Schweiz. Take over the lead, leading by 1 point. This is basketball.
Great
Nikki
find.
Green underneath, 2 points.
Taylor Roberts, terrific find to Nikki Green. 85-84, minute 8 to go, and it's a foul.
Dare I say
Thompson.
this game deserves overtime, because this has been thrilling basketball. 1 point is the lead for Hobart. And there'll be 2 bonus free throws now for the Wildcats, because Hobart are in foul trouble. Panousis, you'd think, could make 1 or 2.
Just the second foul for Thompson.
Grant Spencer never particularly satisfied.
Well, Schweers does like to celebrate.
Yes.
And I think his concern there was that maybe she kept celebrating and didn't execute on the defensive
to celebrate
end.
and play defense at the same time, you'd say. And Panousis regathers the lead. 1 minute remaining. 1 point the difference. That's the equation for Hobart.
Captain free throws right there.
So it was 6 points in favour of Eltham at three-quarter time. Hobart took over, led by 7 points during this fourth quarter. Nikki Green now, mid-range jumper, too long. Schweers hustling for the rebound. That's what Coach Grant Spencer wanted, and he applauds her, rightly so. Given to Panousis, 47 seconds remaining. 1 point is the lead. Looking back now, it's Alice diving to the basket, off the glass for 2 points. And gosh, this is good basketball. I don't lie. I try and not be biased, but I am, Tyson, so I won't hide that. But what a sensational game from both teams. The standard of this has been extraordinary, and for this to be 9th and 11th says to you this league is just absolutely exceptional. Just young superstars, Shana Thompson, Abby Ellis, 18, 19, 17 years of age, thereabouts, just making clutch shots, clutch buckets at the right times. You've got some gun imports running around in the league. You've got WNBL players. It is fantastic to watch. And you know what's pleasing is to see, just as the season, I wear this with an Eltham hat, as you start to see the season go on, more young girls coming in and watching the game. And that's the thing about NBL1 that separates it from anything of the past, is people talking about having professional women to be able to watch. And the standard across the league, I think, has been far superior to anything that Siebel or Big V or anything's done in the past, and you see it right here. This is why. This has been fantastic. We have 100 people tuning in right now, and none of you will want to leave because there's 3 points the difference. Hobart will have the possession. 39 seconds remaining.
Well, with the way this game has gone, twists and turns, something else has to occur here.
It would be remiss of me not to recognise the impact that one Ali Collins, who sits on the bench with 26 points, 5 fouls, out of the game has had, because I don't know what the score was when she left, but they were leading by, I think, 4 or 5 at the time. It was as much as 7, and now all of a sudden Eltham have turned it around. Panousis hit a couple of very, very good-looking free throws. Chelsea Schweers hit a 3. And now, which got us up on our feet, mind you, in the commentary box. And now we're back underway. Schlott looks to Finlayson. Now it's Thompson.
Yeah, had to go
Green
inside.
Had Mulligan to work with Thompson.
We've
From 3!
We've been saying it.
Shana Thompson knocks in a 3, and it's a tied game at 88 apiece. 24.8 seconds remaining. And Coach Grant Spencer will take it from the baseline.
And he is taking it from the baseline, and he's called it early. He doesn't need to call it till the end of the timeout, but he has called it early, and I wonder if Hobart switched onto it. But Eltham is playing for this to be the last shot. At 88 apiece. We said young stars, and Shana Thompson just, there you go.
This second half of basketball has just been outrageous, because Eltham in that third quarter just looked absolutely the goods, and then Hobart, who you thought looked down and out, have just come back alive, and through some of that shooting that they had in the first half, has just found a way to stick to Eltham, and now with 24.8 seconds remaining, it is a tied game at 88 apiece.
I think I want overtime here, Tyson. This deserves OT.
Speaking of OT, the Hobart men had a double OT last night.
They did.
Which was very exciting.
They did. I had to walk away from the youth men's game here. I chose to go and watch that one instead on the laptop on the bigger screen.
Oh, wouldn't you? Hadzio Merovic, 2 very clutch threes in there.
Iggy. He was massive, wasn't he?
Anyways, not that matters.
Duffelmeyer on the flip to that. Duffelmeyer was big too.
Now we are back into this game. 24.8 seconds remaining.
Twists and turns. This won't be a quiet last 24 seconds, that's for sure.
They're playing defense right up the court, pressing, but Panousis will walk it across the line. So it's 15 seconds remaining. What does she decide to do? Finlayson's there 10. For defense. Goes back to the left hand. Brooke coming to present. Sets an on-ball screen. They should... so there's a foul called, and that will give Panousis...
That made a lot of sense from an Eltham point of view, is to get Roberts especially if she's going to be switching, showing, sorry. It's exactly a smart move from Eltham to get her out high and look to turn the corner on the screen.
If Hobart were planning on fouling, they should have done a lot earlier in that phase of play, but now they will have 5 seconds to work with. Panousis absolutely eating pressure for breakfast, makes the first free throw. It's a side whose free throw shooting was not looking particularly attractive early on in this game. Makes both free throws, and now they're shooting 17 from 25 from the free throw line, thanks to Panousis, who has hit 4 in just the last minute or so. 2 points the difference. Eltham leads. The Eltham crowd on the edge of their seat, as well as the few Hobart fans who have come across.
3 or a 2, Tyson? Go on the win or the tie?
I don't... based on what we see, you know what I get the feeling is they're not going to get the shot that they wanted because this game has always been about the hustle and who can throw up a shot when they're open. And so it'll be interesting to see what the coach of the Huskies decides to direct his players to do, because Grant Spencer, no doubt, will be telling them to...
Part of you says, I'd probably go the safe option. Maybe that's me. But you're kind of looking at this thinking, well, can my group go another 5 minutes? Back end of a doubleheader. Stars have run a lot of time. Ellie Collins fouled out of the game. Can they afford another 5 minutes? I think you've got to look to go the win here. Nikki Green, obviously, if she gets in a one-on-one scenario, you're looking to go to her, but you don't shy
play
away.
Options there underneath, because Mulligan will have to be disciplined, no doubt.
But you wouldn't be afraid to back in Thompson or Schlott to hit the game winner either for 3.
Yeah. And so it's Finlayson who will inbound the ball. They have 5.1 seconds to work with. And it's Chelsea Brooke who will have her long arms in the way. It's a line-up offense. It's given to Schlott. Loses touch of it momentarily, keeps it in the half. Forced to dive inside. Alice is there, throws it in for 2 points, and we're heading to overtime, which is all the game deserved.
The way Ellis played then, it was almost like she was just willing to put pressure on, but not put herself at risk of fouling it either.
Kept the hands down.
Although, I'm not sure whether Grant is happy or not. Hard to read at times. But we are going to OT. It deserves it.
About
full credit to Hobart. They looked down in the dumps after 3 quarters. But stepped up big in that last quarter when the chips were down. Even when Ellie Collins went out. 6 or 7 points up they were. Ellie Collins gets fouled out. Eltham looked like they'd made another surge, and to Hobart's credit, did the job to get themselves. And tough bucket from Schlott. Send us to OT.
I said with about 5 minutes to go in that fourth quarter that this game absolutely deserves an overtime, because this has been 2 sides. We said from the start, this is a 9th and 11th side. They're on the cusp of finals. They won't give anything up easily. The factor that go on.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, it's not just the fact that it's big difference for Hobart to go 4 and 7. Really puts you under the pump to make a comeback for playoffs. So I'm not going to say end of the season by any means, but you know, that's I think you said before, it's 5 losses in a row that make it 6, and to be 4 and 7, it puts a gap between you and the top 9 sides. So big 5 minutes to go. 2-3 zone from Eltham.
All right, 5 minutes to play. It's in overtime.
Oh,
Schlott looking to make a stamp. Hello, she puts in a 3. It was deep too. Wow, what a way to start the overtime. They're lacking the 26-point player in Collins, who sits on the bench, so Schlott says, okay, well, I guess we're going to have to take some shots.
You're going to give me space. Let me hit it. 24 points now for Schlott.
Abby Alice, Mulligan there. Green applying the defense, looking to Brooke. Brooke now, looking for a long 2. Schweers was almost there for the rebound, but I think it was Shana Thompson rather.
Probably a good decision maker, Chelsea Brooke. Probably not so much then, unfortunately.
I think having played already last night against Frankston, Hobart wouldn't have been wanting to play in overtime by any stretch of the imagination today, but here they are, and they're leading by 3 points. 1 minute into this final phase of play, no doubt. Overtime here. It was well done by Panousis. The shot with the dying seconds of the shot clock given to Panousis now. What does he decide to do? Gives it to Schweers. Laneway to the basket, puts it up, bounces around and falls in for Schweers.
And a poke in the eye by the looks of it.
27 points. Schweers will play on. She's the toughest player out there, no doubt. And now Hobart will have to find another score.
Nice screen
Slot
from
looking for
Green.
another three.
Big boards from Roberts.
Roberts now with the ball, given to Thompson, 8 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Never looked likely. Mulligan with the rebound. So they found a score from Schlott with a long three to start this overtime period. But now Eltham have the ball and a chance to regain the lead. Oh, it was well done by Roberts. And now it will be Emma Waller who re-enters the court for Hobart in exchange for Finlayson. Finlayson just with the 2 points so far. Waller enters the court. She has 3 points. Came from a three-point play. So Schweers gives it to Mulligan. Brooke in the corner. Hasn't hit a three so far. This would be a handy one, and she knocks it in for three. Eltham lead by 2 points.
Swings and roundabouts. All afternoon.
Yep.
Deflection from Ellis. She's racked up a lot of them this afternoon.
Let's negotiate. Nikki Green setting the on-ball screen. Green gives it to Waller. Now Roberts in the corner. 6 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Will they be forced to take another
Thompson.
not so pleasant foul call?
I think it's on Panousis,
That's
isn't
just
it?
the fourth team foul.
No, she called
it is 2 shots. It's on Mulligan.
Well, a bit rough on Mulligan, I would have thought. I know Jess Baker will be reviewing this. I thought it was going to be on Panousis for hooking around from behind, but
Jess Baker, ever the professional, calls the foul. And now in this overtime period, a chance for Thompson to bring it back to an even Stevens game. Makes the first.
yeah, I certainly thought Panousis fouled that rather than Mulligan, but result is the same at the line.
Mulligan now with 4 fouls. You want to be very careful because you want to play out this overtime period, and
Thompson to
God
19
willing
points.
there's only 1, but there could be more. You certainly don't respawn by imagination if there is. The second overtime. Chelsea Schweers tries from long range. Abby Ellis fighting for the rebound, but underneath it was Emma Waller who knocked it out through the hands of Shana Thompson. Now it's Schlott. Given to Waller. Schlott with her biggest scoring game of the year with 24 points. Will they find her for a score? She's in the corner at the moment. Given to Green now. And now Schlott. This is what I mentioned.
There it is.
Schlott knocks it in from 3. Lead by 3 for Hobart now. 2 minutes remaining.
27 points for Schlott.
Schlott steps over Collins and now leading all scorers for Hobart with 27 points. Given to Ellis. Elects not to take the straight 3. Diving baseline. Gives it to Mulligan. She had a defender to work with. It was well done. How's that for defense for Taylor Roberts? Foul called will be 2 bonus free throws for Hobart.
Oh, and Mulligan again, and he's fouled out. I thought that foul was also on Chelsea Brooke, to be honest.
Sorry for the radio silence. I'm just processing everything that's happening.
What just happened? Yeah.
We are still here. And so she misses the first free throw, makes the second. 4-point game, 1 minute 47 remaining. Captain Vanessa Panousis with the ball. Branna Barton now on court. Abby Ellis with the back cut. Now
She's
driving
done that
inwards.
well.
Can she get a score? Foul call, which led to the line for 2.
Set him up on a couple of back cuts late in this game.
5 fouls. That will be Waller, who's had 4 for about 15 minutes of play and finally gets her 5th. So coming onto the court, it's Finlayson. Robertson Green both have 3 fouls. should be able to play out this last bit of the game unless we're going into another overtime period. Alice at the line makes both free throws.
99-97, minute 37 to go.
Looking to punch into the triple figures here, both sides. Minute and a half remaining in the first overtime period. 2 points to lead for Hobart.
Oh, Ellis.
Abby Ellis.
She's been very,
Take
very
a
good.
bow, Abby Ellis.
Steal number 6.
20 points for the 18-year-old. 5 rebounds, 5 assists. What a game by Abby Ellis.
Schlott.
Now Schlott. Oh, that would have been a dagger.
Would have hit 30, that one.
Yep.
Minute.
But they get the offensive
1 minute
rebound.
to go. Scores tied.
Schlott with the ball. Alice applying defense. Couple of defenders
beautiful
there.
move.
Schlott steps back, puts it in for 2, and they're in the triple figures now. 55 seconds remaining. Brooks sets the high screen up the court. Panusas diving towards the baseline. Gives it to Alice now. Schweiz. She's shot 27 points so far is Schweiz. Panusas with the ball. 43 seconds remaining. 11 seconds on the shot clock. Chelsea Brooks for 3! Chelsea Brooks! Oh, gosh.
102, 101.
One of the greatest NBL1 games of the season. This is an absolute masterclass in basketball here at Eltham. This will go down in the history books.
Incredible match.
Schlott again, mid-range floater, no good.
Tyler
Rebound
Roberts.
for Roberts. Ellis gathers interception. Schweiz is fouled. She led to the line for 2 free throws.
Well,
oh my goodness, I am losing my mind, folks.
Steal number 7 for Abby Ellis.
Oh, the quality of basketball. Thompson has 20 points. Schlott has 29. Ali Collins has 26, sits on the bench with 5 fouls. So does Waller. She has 5 as well. Maggie Mulligan, one of Eltham's best scorers, sits on the bench as well. 5 fouls.
13.7 seconds to go. Eltham lead 102-101 on the back of a Chelsea Brook 3-point shot with Chelsea Schweiz at the free throw line.
Makes the first.
And the way this game is going, you would expect that a shot from Schlott, or I'm calling it, Schlott or Thompson for 3 to tie this up. This will Schweiz to hit the second, and there'll be a 3 to tie it. We're going to double OT. It's my call.
It's a bold. She does hit the free throw. Tell your neighbours to tune in to NBL1 basketball because there's 13.7 seconds remaining, 104 to 101. Hobart will have the ball. This is unbelievable NBL1 basketball here in Eltham. The quality on display is second to none. We're in overtime. Chelsea Schweiz has 29 points. Jennifer Schlott has 29. Gosh, I'll tell you what.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
You said swings and roundabouts, and I think that is absolutely the best description of what's been on display because, as I've said, Hobart led by 18 points in the second quarter. Eltham came out, led by 7 during the third, and then in that fourth quarter, Hobart just managed to just chip away at that lead and ultimately took it into an overtime from an easy score of Schlott. We know in this overtime period, we started it with Schlott hitting a deep 3. Hobart looked good. But then Eltham have just kept it going, kept the momentum ever so slightly.
Just like when you thought Hobart was in trouble when Collins went out. You're looking at Mulligan, think Mulligan's out.
Yeah.
You know, this is where Eltham might be in a bit of strife, particularly at the defensive end, I think. But to their credit, got themselves back in front. They're in a winning position again.
So many individual moments, but Chelsea Brooks' 2 threes. I mean, she shot 6, but her 2 threes, including that one just recently in this overtime period, have been absolutely clutch.
13.7 seconds to go.
Schlott has the ball.
She got us to OT last time.
She's being forced down. Schlott from 3. Oh. Abby Ellis fights for the rebound. Comes down to Sean Gillum. 5 seconds remaining. Foul called. Panusas will head to the line. A chance to close out this game. Panusas will have 2 free throws in this 3-point game. And Eltham now in the box seat. Boy, oh boy, where we.
Well, Schlott had the opportunity. Made the right decision, but not quite.
He's trouble.
She's been reliable late in the game. And there it is. Get it to 4.
That's what they needed. No foul for Eltham, you'd hope. Schlott slamming the ball down the court. Finishes with 2 points, but that draws to a close. What has been an absolute masterclass of NBL1 basketball. It went to overtime. It's all it deserved, and in the end, only 2 points was what separates one of the greatest games I've seen at this level of semi-professional basketball, where the Eltham Wildcats, at home, managed to get the win by 2 points, and with that, have a 7-4 win-loss record, where they, at the moment, sitting 9th on the ladder. They'll be moving into the top 8, no doubt. How about that for basketball, Greg Jeffers?
I'm blown away. I'm lost for words. That's extraordinary. Brilliant performance by both teams. Hobart, 8 players. I mean, they only played 7 on the back end of a double header. You know, you keep thinking, especially when you thought they jumped out such a good start, and then when Eltham was chipping away, you're thinking, well, here it is. Eltham's going to overrun them. But Hobart, fantastic effort, especially in going to that OT again. But the Eltham team, to their credit, they didn't have all guns firing all afternoon, but the right players got the right shots away at the right time. And I think Mulligan would probably be frustrated with her afternoon, probably didn't get into it, but at the same time had a legitimate opponent today in Nikki Green. And, well, that deserved overtime, and we got it. Someone had to come out the winner. Full credit to Eltham for getting the win in the end, but well done to Hobart for a fantastic game. I can't think of many games. I'm like you. I can't think of a women's game or a men's game that's matched that standard. That was fantastic.
We talked about what sort of factor the fatigue of Hobart playing Frankston last night, coming in, but whilst it looked like they were falling away in that third quarter, managed to turn it around in the fourth and even into that overtime period, right down the stretch. Looked good. And if Ali Collins didn't go to the bench, you know, she had 26 points. You just feel like they could have run over the top of Eltham in the end. But to Eltham's credit, managed to fight back the lead. Chelsea Brook hit some threes. Abby Ellis, you'd say the game of her season so far.
Yeah, no question.
She had 20 points.
5 assists, 5 boards, but 7 steals.
7 steals. Oh
7 steals. Look, I'm just purely without looking at stats as a spectator of the game. She was my MVP in terms of just consistent performance across. Yeah, right through the
exactly.
4
Even
quarters
when
and the
Eltham
OT.
weren't doing well,
she was the one that was keeping them going when the chips were down. I thought everyone else across both teams had patches where they fell out of the game. I thought she was the most consistent across the match. But Ellie Collins, that first quarter and then her last quarter, I think were probably the 2 main periods in particular where she grabbed Hobart and just carried them with her. And she got the thing going, and when chips were down, she was the one to get them going again. So disappointing when she fouled out. I thought Schlott was obviously huge. Came up with some big buckets down the stretch.
31 points for Schlott.
Nikki Green, look, I stand by it. Given how she was hunched over at certain times, I'm guessing she was either heavily fatigued or she was feeling a little bit crook today, because she was looking to get out.
It's a double-double, 11 points, 10 rebounds.
Yeah, she's still not bad. But did look like someone that was maybe carrying a little bit of a bug or something like that. But, you know, her going head-to-head with Mulligan, they pretty much neutralised each other, really. Mulligan going 11 points, 8 boards, 4 assists, and Nikki Green at the other end going 11 and 10. You've pretty much made an even contribution between the two of them. But Tyson, if we're seeing if the games for the women are going to be like that every week, I'm for a world of pain to finish this year out.
There's only so many words we can use to describe what we just saw, but at the end of the day, you can go back and watch what was an absolute class performance by the Hobart Huskies and the Eltham Wildcats here in Eltham. It's Sunday afternoon, NBL1 action. You just saw an absolutely thrilling encounter that went to overtime, but fear not, there is plenty of basketball to come. It's the Hobart Huskies taking on the Eltham Wildcats in our men's match. It starts at 2:30. Ladies and gentlemen, do stick around. Head over to the other broadcast link and tune in. I've been Tyson Wheel. I'm joined by Greg Jeffers. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in just a few moments' time.
Thank you.